Hey guys, welcome to my story of how I came from a score of 530 in my first diagnostic mocks to 700 in the final GMAT. I hope that this video might clear some of your doubts of how to prepare, what resources to use, and like you read in the title, the comparisons of two resources which I used. All the timestamps will be given below, and you can skip and choose whatever you want to see. I'm going to keep this as short as possible, going through every single detail of whatever I did. So let's start. Coming to my introduction and background, I've done my 10th and 12th in science field with math and English as the foundation. I also completed my mechanical engineering and worked for 2 years after I decided to take up my GMAT. So since I had math and English as a foundation, I 100% can tell you with confidence that it helped me while preparing for GMAT. I did not have to concentrate that much on preparation, study from ground up. I was pretty good in my education too while studying. Math and English were my strong suits, where I got 95 plus in both my 10th and 12th boards. I'm telling you all of this because if you get to know what kind of person I have and what my scores and my knowledge base was before studying and my scores after studying, maybe you also can gauge where you stand. So, yes, prior knowledge will help you, but no prior knowledge doesn't mean you cannot do it, obviously. You'll have to study a bit more, you have to practice a bit more. Okay, so I realized that the video is getting pretty big. I'm just going to mention the resources I've used here. The first one being Magush GMAT online courses. The second one is Jamboree online plus offline hybrid. The third one is the for mock tests, the Manhattan Prep mock tests, and the fourth one is the Manhattan Prep books, which I think they come in a bundle for RCCR and SC, along with quant topic wise books are there. I think 5 books are there for quant. Apart from these, while I was studying for GMAT, on Spotify I came across this podcast called the GMAT Strategy. It's by a professor called Isaac. Uh, that guy was he was talking about his course and how it is a strategy course and not like a theory course. So I thought I'll give that a shot because I had pretty much an idea about my foundation, and I had realized that the strategy required an improvement. So I took up that course, and through this course I got to know the skills of time management. So coming to all the tests I've taken and my progress, I'm going to show you all the tests and the progress with the flow of what actually happened with me and not randomly. So coming to the first one, my first diagnostics, like I told you, was 530. You can see that this is a split up of that 530. This was really a shock to me, and I could not believe it that I got 530. Like I said, with my prior knowledge, my background, I thought at least 600 to 650 was okay, and I could study a bit more, polish it, and get it close to 700. But 530 was really a shock. Immediately, I went and bought Magush. I started Magush. I started Manhattan Prep mocks, and with Manhattan Prep mocks, every week I started, or every once in 2 weeks, I started taking mocks. I took 4 of those mocks, Manhattan Prep mocks, while simultaneously studying with Magush. These are the scores which I got. You can see the dates and the times of which I've taken the 4 mock tests. These are the scores which I've got. First one was 570 with that split up. Second one was 580 with that split up. Third one 600 with that split up. And the fourth one again 600 with this split up. So at the end of the day, I realized that I was stuck at 600 along with by using Mangush, by using Manhattan Prep, by using their analysis tool, assessment report, as you can see. Uh, so I had no other choice apart from, that is what I thought. I had no other choice apart from to go for classes, offline classes. So I took up Jamboree, and like I already told you, the offline classes weren't that helpful. It was just the portal which I again started brushing up, again started studying once again, uh, finding out with these mocks, Manhattan Prep mocks. I knew what my weaknesses was, what topics my weaknesses lay in. So I started studying Jamboree through only for those topics. And finally, after I finished their course, I took up my fifth mock, Manhattan mock. So my fifth Manhattan mock was 590 again. So at this point of time, I had realized that it was not the subject matter which was a problem for me. It was just the test taking capability. And since Jamboree was offering 12 mock tests, I started taking those 12 mock tests very seriously. Not with respect to the scores, but with only with the intent of taking mocks. That's it. So after my fifth mocks or my fourth Manhattan mocks, I started my Jamboree mocks. It took about a month, just before like this November. It took about a month to complete all 12 mocks with once in 2 days or once a day. Mostly once in 2 days. It was a pretty rigorous schedule. My GMAT was booked for 11 a.m. So I started taking Jamboree mocks at 11 a.m. itself daily or once in 2 days, like I mentioned. I won't show you the scores because 12 is pretty long, but there too, my score was hovering about 650 average. Uh, but I didn't take that seriously, obviously. It was just the sitting for 3 hours continuously with those breaks and then focusing for 3 hours straight, which was really helpful. Those 12 mocks was it built up my stamina for sitting for 3 months. And I took up the fifth Manhattan mock after that, ended up with 590. Sixth Manhattan mock ended up with 630. This was the highest I've gotten, 630. So I'd realized that instead of figuring out where I'm going wrong, I just have to focus on my time management, focus on which problems I need to skip, focus on the topics which I'm afraid or cannot do, and then skip them wisely. So I wrote down all the Manhattan mock scores in the book which I was using, and as you can see on the screen, this is the results. I used to look at this every day, and I used to think about how I can improve it. The first thing which I started doing was I started analyzing all those tests, and I started making notes of wherever I went wrong. I'll go in detail about what exactly I did in the coming steps. So after my sixth Manhattan mock, I had pretty much exhausted all my Manhattan, and I was pretty close to the exam. I had about 5 days left. I decided to take my second diagnostics GMAT, which was free, and I ended up getting 650 with this split up. So by this time, I realized that okay, Manhattan was pretty tough. I need to focus on my test taking abilities, focus on remaining calm, focus on doing more accurate questions than simply speeding through, and not getting disheartened by one permutation combination which I couldn't solve, and just remove that question from my head while solving and focus on the next question. So this GMAT diagnostic 2 was 3 days before my final GMAT exam, and the one day before the exam I took complete rest, and as you can see in the final exam I got 700 with 49 and 37 split. My IR and AWA also you can see. So that's pretty much my test taking journey, as you can say. So coming to how I used those mock tests and what strategies I used, how did I push through getting 600 constant 600, which I knew wasn't my actual score, wasn't my actual ability. The first thing I did was generate assessment reports, taking different combinations of exams, but more than 2 exams, because that is where you get a solid data set and it does not skew your inputs. So from those assessment reports, I figured out which topics I'm facing problems. Went back to Jamboree, tried to solve few difficult level problems in that. I could solve them pretty easily. So I realized that I'm just screwing up somewhere in the test and not in the actual knowledge of what I'm going to do. Either I'm really stressed out or I'm committing silly mistakes or something like that. So I started maintaining an error log. If you want details about the error log, just let me know. I'll post my error log here. But the basic concept of an error log is you just dump in all the questions which you have got wrong, where you went wrong, why you went wrong, what was the topic, what are you going to do about that, and basically how are you going to rectify it, and when you are going to take up that problem next. And I would suggest you to hyperlink that problem so you can refer it easily back. So I maintained a really detailed error log. I maintained two error logs within one itself. One was where I actually went wrong, where I didn't know how to do it or I took up a lot of time. And the other one was something I called a shit can, where questions which I actually knew how to do but simply couldn't do it or simply gave up in between, or I committed silly mistakes, very silly mistakes like addition, subtraction, things like that. And this error log was very important because every day I used to skim through this, even though I knew what to do. At least the moment I see the error log, those individual entries would come into my head. Same with the shit can. You can say that I punished myself for screwing up questions like that. And I basically didn't repeat those kind of silly mistakes again. Basic silly mistakes, addition, subtraction, like I said. So these were the major strategies which I used. The coming to the practice part, like I said, practicing those 12 mocks daily from 11 to 2 without missing a single day was without missing a single test, that is, helped me really set me into that groove of test taking every day at 11 o'clock. After 4 mock tests or 5 mock tests, I actually started looking forward to taking it because it did not fatigue me that much. It did not feel like a dredge going through, okay, another 3 hours sitting, another mock test, another full length, again I have to do AWA, again IR. So I started looking forward to those 6 to 7 mock tests, which played a really important role on the final day. So this was the pretty much the strategy which I used. So coming to the difficulties and corrective measures which I used, few of the topics, for example, which were difficult for me was permutation combination. Starting, I used to face a lot of difficulty in distance rate time and work rate time and probability. Basic dice probability, coin probability is pretty easy, but when they combine it with geometry, when they combine it with, for example, a cube of painted sides, opposite, adjacent, painted, and stuff like that, that gets pretty complicated. So I used to struggle with a lot on that. For distance rate time, work rate time, I started solving very basic level questions. I started using the standard algebraic approach, find out the equation, solve the equation, find out rate plus rate is equal to work, final work. So I started doing very basic stuff and I slowly built up my speed in that. Then went through Jamboree, figured out how to solve that in a different way. For permutation combination, I started with counting techniques, which takes time, obviously. For NCR, NPR is way easier and way quicker, obviously. But I started with counting. I realized why counting is used, why is it helpful, where is it helpful, in what type of problems is it helpful, and NCR with the same, what type of problems you need to use NCR, NPR. Started solving few problems on that, and finally I started to get not a good hang, but a pretty good idea of how to start a problem. Not necessarily complete the problem, but at least how to start it. So in case I start a PNC problem with NCR method, for example, but halfway through I realized that no, this counting is pretty much easy for it, I can immediately switch to it. So that is what I tried to do. Instead of simply wondering about, don't know what to do, which topic to use, how to start the problem, how to end the problem, where am I going wrong. So this is what I tried to do. For distance rate problem, I realized that I need to make a table. If there are two split up, like he covers distance A and then distance B, make a table for DRT, and then A, what is the distance, what is time, what is rate, B, distance, rate, time. Find out total time, total distance. You cannot add rates, so things like that, basically a table. So that is how I started to slowly build up immediate actions of whenever I see a type of problem, this is where my brain should automatically go to. So that is how I started to do. At the end of my study journey, I started to dabble in how to solve those type of problems from a different angle. For example, geometry. If they ask you what is the area of a trapezium inside, let's say, I don't know, area of a triangle inside a circle. If both are regular geometries, I realized that you can split up the circle into different triangles, find out the total number of total triangles divided by the number of shaded triangles. Immediately you will get the area, instead of trying to find the diameter, the base, the height, and all those things, radius. So this is how I slowly started to find different ways of solving it. I won't say necessarily that I use those ways of solving it, but they will definitely help you when you are stuck in that time crunch, when you're stuck in that one problem which requires sudden change of thought, sudden change of technique. So that is how I started using strategies, started using my error logs, started uh, basically using those Manhattan reports to my advantage. I suggest, if this makes sense to you, I suggest you doing the same thing. Start from the basics, start from how to solve an equation, make it as complicated of an algebra equation as possible, which might take you 10 minutes to solve, but it does not matter. At least you have gotten it till there. Then try to simplify the problem, try to find out where you can eliminate algebra, whether you can use substitution. Instead of using variables, can you substitute basic quantities into it? Can you use the answers itself? So instead of finding out if this question requires this type of approach, you try to find your own approach to it, whichever helps you, whichever strikes you as the best approach. That is what I would suggest. So that's about the strategies and how I faced all the corrective measures which I took. So I'm going to combine the 1 month prep and the test day. What exactly happened? So like I said, 1 month I took only mock tests every day 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I had booked by day for that and did not do anything else. Took the tests, did not review the tests, because by that point of time, like I already said, I knew that test taking was something which I had to work upon, not the actual theory part. So I felt like there was nothing more I could do by taking more and more inputs from all the tests and putting it into my error log and making it like a 100-page error log, which I can't glance very fast. So I stopped looking at reviews from the tests, scores from the tests. I just looked at if I could manage my 3 hours effectively without getting fatigued. And like I already mentioned, after the 5th mock test, I realized that I was looking forward to the mock test. I could solve those mock tests without feeling very hot, feeling very feverish, without feeling very tired in the middle. I didn't have to go and wash my face in those breaks. So I could immediately just take a deep breath, calm down for 8 minutes, forget what happened in quant, forget what happened in verbal, and start my next section. So that helped me a lot. Coming to the final test day, I went there 1 hour before. Luckily, the management there allowed me to write the test half an hour before itself. That did not change anything as much. So all the formalities were done, the photo was taken, the hand, vein, print, palm was taken, everything was taken. I sat down to write. To be very honest with you guys, my maths I felt like went horrible. My quant went really horrible. I did not know whether I was getting a question right, a question wrong. I did not know whether it was a hard question, a tough question, and I already had made up my mind up mentally to ignore the thought that okay, if this is a hard question, then the previous question might have gone wrong. So that thought process, I made up my mind to not go through that. So yeah, so the quant section was pretty hard, I would say, compared to all the mocks I've taken. It did not feel very smooth, very breezy. It did not feel that. It was pretty jittery, it was pretty hard. But the one thing which was consistent was my time management. So because of all the mocks which I had taken up, as soon as I realized that this question cannot be done, by that time I had already eliminated at least 2 or 3 out of the 5 options. So the last 2 options I took a guess, and that was very ruthless. Sometimes we get into the swing of solving it, and we know that we can solve this quadratic equation. After all, it's a quadratic equation. How can we not solve it? We get into the swing of it. We get into that extra 30 seconds of solving it. I know I can get the answer, but that 30 seconds over 3 or 4 problems might waste you 4 minutes. So I found myself ruthlessly rejecting all the questions which I couldn't solve. And I can confidently say out of 31 questions, at least 10 questions I screwed up. I either did not know the problem, I just guessed completely, or I absolutely got it wrong, or I had no idea where to start, where to end, how to solve it, how to go about with it. But after taking my quant, I went to the washroom, I washed my face, and I told myself, okay, quant is done. Yes, you might have gotten a lesser score, but from your mocks 650, 600, 630, 650, you were expecting it. So let's concentrate on verbal. Let's get your verbal score up. Verbal went pretty good, because since it's subjective verbal, you have like a kind of an idea of whether you're getting the answers right or wrong. Unlike quant, which is either A or B, verbal is more like which is the most appropriate. So I had a feeling that I did well. I was expecting around 33, 34, 35, which was what I was getting around in mocks. So verbal did not surprise me that much, but yeah, after verbal it was not that stressful as after quant. I just washed my face again and I told myself, okay, everything is done. You can't change your score anymore. Let's go finish IR and AWA. So yeah, after finishing those, when I submitted it and I saw 700, yeah, it was a really big surprise. I did not expect 700. Like I said, quant did not go as planned. But the only thing I could come up with as to why I got 49 in quant is that the questions which I got wrong were very hard questions and not easy questions. And the questions which I'm supposed to get correct, I have gotten that correct. And yeah, the final thing was I was pretty lucky, very lucky, I'd say, because the questions which I guess they are correct, the correct answer I've guessed. So that was my story of test day. Yeah, let's wrap up this video. It's getting pretty long. So my final thoughts, tips, suggestions, whatever you want to call it, from a guy who got 530 in the beginning to a guy who finished it with 700. The first thing I would say is don't panic. Yes, 530 is a very low score. Yes, I panicked. Yes, I went and bought Magoosh. I went and bought Jamboree. I went and bought podcasts. I went and bought subscriptions. Yes, I did all of those. But somehow I got the most out of everything. I did not waste anything. I suggest you don't do that. If you have something going for you, if you have Jamboree, if you have GMAT prep, Manhattan prep, if you're using only official GMAT mocks for all your studying, all your guiding, if you're using only OGs, stick to that. Make sure you complete everything of that and then change it. In the middle, when you'll be testing yourself. In the middle, if your scores change immediately, don't simply jump and say, no, this is not working. OG is not working for me. I need another tutor. I need another guide. Don't do that. Stick with it. Go through with it. Be smooth with it and go with the flow basically. Don't take drastic decisions. The second thing is don't worry about the marks in the beginning. Yes, 530 is a low score. Yes, 600 is a low score. Yes, 590 is a low score. Figure out where you're going wrong. Because the difference between 600 to 650 is 3 correct questions. Just remember that. Yes, it's 50 points, but it's almost approximately just 3 correct questions. So did you make a silly mistakes in those questions? Did you screw it up on purpose? Did you run out of time? Figure out where you went wrong instead of looking at the marks. The third thing is maintain your composure during the exam. I'm not telling you to maintain your health because I'm confident you guys will eat, you guys will sleep and all those. But during the exam, don't get that stuffiness feeling. Don't start sweating. Take breaks. Take those 8-minute breaks. Utilize it and wash your face if you need. But the major and the most important tip I would tell you is to mimic the test conditions when you are taking full length mock tests, because that is where you'll actually sit and you'll feel like you're taking a test. Yes, some things will vary. You cannot, they will give you headphones. The screen might be bigger in the test center. The keyboard might be different. But sitting for 3 hours in the conditions, in the weather conditions, either let it be a very sunny day, let it be very a cold day, sitting through those 3 hours and doing that and getting used to sitting for 3 hours will help you in the long run. Trust me on that. The last but not the least one is don't listen to people. People will tell you that 590 is a bad score, 530 is a bad score, 700 is a really good score. No, you cannot do it. Shift to GRE. Why don't you try GRE? If you have studied for so long with GMAT quant, GRE quant will be a breeze. Don't listen to all of them. If you have decided on GMAT, stick to GMAT. I had many thoughts of shifting to GRE when I saw that my score wasn't going above 600. but I stuck to my guns. I knew that test taking was something where I needed to work on, and not my actual foundations and not my actual knowledge of the test basically. So I did not listen to anyone. Yes, I took in their suggestions at the back of my mind, and I focused on what I needed to do. After focusing on it, I just studied on my own. I did not cram anything into in one sitting. Basically, I took my own time in the beginning. When it was the final 1 month, when it was final 2 months, I started practicing more and more mocks. I started getting pretty serious about it. So chill and study. Don't take it too seriously, where you are not going out of your house every single day. Go out with your friends, have fun. But yeah, don't listen to people who have either positive, negative criticism, anything, including me. If anything you liked about it, yeah, you can take something away from it. Keep it at the back of your mind. Don't copy exactly what I did, because my life, your life is obviously different. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you need any more information about any of the questions, any of the steps, any of basically whatever I've spoken about, if you need help about how to use those Manhattan prep mock tests, how to get those analysis report, how to read those reports, what you get from those reports, just let me know. You can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Both of those links will be given down. But apart from that, yeah, all the very best. I know you can do it. I never believed in myself. I thought I couldn't get 700 when I was looking at all my mock scores, but here I am with 700. So chill, take it lightly, take a break. If you're really getting fed up, take a break. All the very best.